Well, good morning. Welcome to the July 9th Board of Supervisors meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we're going to begin with the roll call.
Supervisor Brandel.
Here.
Supervisor Mendez.
Here.
Supervisor Pacheco.
Here.
Supervisor Quintero.
Here.
Chairman Magzig.
And I am here.
All present. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our Invocation Pledge of Allegiance. And today, to lead us in our invocation, we have Daniel Aiello. And Daniel is a pastor at Clovis Hills Church in Clovis, California. He accepted Jesus at a camp in spring of 2008. And since then, he's been passionate about seeing high school students come to know Jesus and discover their God-given potential. He's a husband, teacher, and worship leader. Daniel and his wife Mary have been married for 4 years. In his spare time, he enjoys writing, photography, and cooking, and Daniel is also part of the Fresno County family because he worked here several years ago. So please stand with me for the invocation.
Morning, everybody. Let's bow our heads and pray. Father God, we are thankful for this opportunity to gather this morning as we, both the elected leaders of Fresno County and the members of the public, get to steer this county towards the direction that it needs to be headed in. Father, we pray for wisdom this morning, that, God, we operate not out of our own self-interests, but we look to the interests of others. God, and all of the decisions made in this room reflect your will for this county, Father. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is asked, what is the greatest commandment? And in Matthew 22:37, he replies, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. So, Father, as we fix our eyes to you this morning, would we continue to deliver on that command to love God and love one another? We're thankful for who you are. It's your name that we pray. Amen. Amen. Please remain standing for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Item number 1, approve agenda.
Any board members have any modifications, comments on the agenda? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Buddy, a second by Supervisor Quintero. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously.
We now move to item number 2, approve consent agenda items 16 through 63.
Any board members wishing to pull any of the consent items?
I need to pull item 48 and 52 so that I can recuse myself. I'll be out of the room.
All right. Items 48 and 52. Board members, any others?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item number 19, which is adjourn in memory of Bob Speck, please.
All right. Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wishing to pull an item?
Hello. I'd like to pull item 17, the Breastfeeding Awareness Month for August.
Thank you. Any other items on the agenda that need to be pulled?
Good morning. I'd like to pull board item agenda number 47.
47. You got it. Seeing no further items that need to be pulled, I'm going to close the public portion. We're going to come back to those items separately. And is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, we'll review all the items that were pulled after item 5.
Perfect.
So we now move to item number 3, under Board of Supervisors, presentation of retirement plaque to Trevor Burkholtz, Department of Behavioral Health, 28 years of service.
And we have representatives from the Department of Behavioral Health who are going to provide some comments. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Susan Holt, your Behavioral Health Director and Public Guardian. My colleague Trevor is a longtime Department of Behavioral Health employee. I have a few remarks, and I also want to apologize to Trevor. I shared with him outside, and I'll share with our board that we had many team members who also wanted to be here this morning to honor Trevor because of his work in our department. But unfortunately, we have some mandatory training today and interviews, and so his colleagues could not be here. So I represent their spirit in honoring Trevor today. Also, his manager is in one of those trainings, and his longest tenure manager could not be here today, but she prepared written remarks that I'll read on her behalf. Her name is Stacy Van Bruggen, for the record. My remarks for Trevor, I'll get a little choked up. Trevor was the very first county employee to spend time welcoming me on my very first week as a pre-licensed mental health clinician. He took the time to explain to me the important work that we do in our community to help me understand the significance of stigma and how it impacts persons with serious mental illness. He was a mentor and became a friend, and it's been a pleasure to work alongside him for so many years. If he looks familiar to our board or to any members of the public, it may be because you watched him in our Hope documentary, where we had storytellers with lived experience share their journey and story as our effort to reduce stigma. Trevor volunteered to share his story of resilience, and so we were really proud to have him as a featured storyteller in our documentary. On behalf of Stacy Van Bruggen, his longtime division manager, I'll take a moment to read her remarks. Stacy says, "What I valued about Trevor is that he had an endless amount of faith in people and hope. He believed with all that he is that people can and do change. He never gave up on anyone, ever. He is a helper. No matter what it was, he would volunteer to help. He was also self-sacrificing. He was known to consider the point of view of everyone involved and tried to meet everyone's needs as best as possible, even when that meant another team's needs outweighed his own. He sought the greatest good in the greatest amount of people in our department. Trevor was beyond dedicated to helping the disenfranchised, marginalized, and forgotten. For Trevor, it was not a job. It was a calling and a duty. In our department, Trevor was a teacher. He loves to help others grow. He made efforts to connect with everyone, people he knew, people he didn't know, people he had just met. And he never disliked anyone. He was only curious about them and wanted to understand. Trevor is a peaceful man who loves his family, his work, and his faith." So on behalf of Stacy Van Bruggen, Natalie Armistead, his current, I guess you're retired, so his last division manager, and all of our department, we want to appreciate the board for acknowledging Trevor today.
And Trevor, do you have any words of wisdom for us?
I don't know if they're wise, but I'm so thankful that I was able to help so many people and to stand before you to say that I'm just thankful for 28 years here, and I've learned so much and be able to serve, and I know you're servants too. And just take a moment here. To serve the marginalized, the people that are on the streets, to give them a home and help them through their course of life is the greatest honor that I've had. And I just want to thank you for this time to be here and recognize the work that we do in the mental health field. Thank you.
And Trevor, do you have any family members that are here with you today?
I do. My wife, Gina, she wants to videotape and take pictures while I'm up here.
Excellent. And we would like to invite you forward with your family members that are here with you today for a picture, if that's okay.
That's wonderful.
So please come forward at this time.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations on retirement. Stay busy.
Yes. You do it.
Congratulations.
We now move to item number 4 under Chairman Maxick. Proclaim July 8th through July 12th, 2024 as Eligibility Workers, Job Specialists, and Appeal Specialists Appreciation Week in Fresno County.
The county family is very large, and the work of people who are under Linda Duchesne and her department do amazing things here in Fresno County. When I think about the Department of Social Services, 2,800 employees, 2,900 employees, it's the largest single department here in the county with revenues that pass through it that are close to $2 billion all in. And so many people are in need, and the many workers of DSS do great things, and so please share with us today what this proclamation means.
So good morning, Board. I'm Linda Duchesne, Assistant Director from the Department of Social Services. First, thank you, Chairman Maxick, and to the Board for the opportunity to stand before you to recognize the valuable contributions made by eligibility workers, job specialists, and appeals specialists. Today, I have the Deputy Director, Maria Rodriguez-Lopez, Deputy Director Josh Hernandez, and Division Chief Lisa Gallegos, who will introduce each of the different groups. Who's going first?
Good morning, Chairman, board members. My name is Josh Hernandez. I'm one of the Deputy Directors over Eligibility Services for the Department of Social Services, and I'm here to honor and recognize our eligibility workers, job specialists, and appeals specialists. With me, excuse me, with me are eligibility workers Joshua Gunslow and Dale Phillips. Representing our job specialists are Kenya Combs and Zin Yang, and representing our appeal specialist is Angelica Phillips. These professionals stand admirably in place of our entire staff, and they each embody our commitment to providing excellent and compassionate interaction to all our families, individuals seeking services from the Department of Social Services. Our staff are on the front lines working to connect families to important services and safety nets, and are essential to the provisions of those services administered by DSS. Eligibility workers provide eligibility determinations to federal and state programs to families in need, depending on their food, housing, medical care, and essential necessities. In uncertain economy, job specialists play a vital role in our elimination of barriers to employment through case management and supportive services to help clients achieve their goals and become self-sufficient. And our appeal specialists help clients resolve benefit disputes timely and accurately by conducting impartial case reviews, ensuring regulations are applied appropriately, and maintaining program integrity for DSS and the broader Fresno community. Their findings also assist district attorneys, special investigations units, and other law enforcement agencies during criminal investigation and prosecutions. I will now be handing this over to our Division Chief, Lisa Gallegos, to talk about some of the great work our staff do.
Thank you. So the diligent efforts of the appeals and eligibility staff in internal prevention and fraud detection activities strengthens our DSS systems, reduces harms to clients, and upholds the public's trust, and provide essential information that supports our local law enforcement in deterring fraud. In the past year, our staff have handled over 300,000 phone calls and reimbursed over $11,000 in EBT skim claims worth over $7 million. They processed nearly 3,400 fair hearings and fulfilled almost 21,000 requests for emergency shelters, preventing nights of sleeping on the streets, and assisted nearly 1,300 adults with the elimination of barriers to self-sufficiency.
Last September, DSS joined the new statewide system known as CalSAS. To accomplish this, our staff needed to quickly learn our brand new California statewide automated welfare system, all while handling the same workload as before. Eligibility workers, job specialists, and appeal specialists have persevered through many changes, knowing that as the front line, they must continue to serve our needy families. By adapting to and navigating complex systems and policies, they are constantly being updated. These vital members of DSS connect families and individuals to critically important programs. Many of us know someone who has been served in some capacity by a DSS staff member. We greatly appreciate our staff's diligence, their tenacity, their willingness to learn and adapt, the way they continue to provide outstanding customer service to our community members. We praise their victories and their successes in helping uplift and strengthen our communities. On behalf of our department, I extend our deepest gratitude and respect for their invaluable contributions.
And with us also are just a small representation of our job specialists, eligibility workers, and our appeals specialists.
All right, thank you. And board members, any comments from any of you?
I do.
Please.
Yeah. I want to thank you for all the work you do. I know it's one of the bigger departments in our county family, but it's a lot of time and effort that is also put in on behalf of the employees. And, just wondering, as diverse as our community is, there's a lot of different languages you have to work with out in the community, and that's another job in itself. So it's not just doing the regular work you do, but going above and beyond. And I want to thank you for that. It's a tough job.
Thank you, Supervisor.
All right, with that, anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item?
Hi, good morning, Board. I'm Division Chief Veronica Clinton with Social Services, and I just wanted to read a success story on behalf of our client, Gannett Tesfaye. It was highlighted in the Fresno Bee article on April 26th, so she wanted me to share this with you all. My journey receiving public assistance started due to a knee injury I suffered requiring major surgery, preventing me from returning to work in my regular field of labor. I am a single mother raising twin boys, which is challenging enough without financial uncertainty of my current situation. That is when I went to the Department of Social Services and applied for CalWorks. I was provided support through eligibility workers processing my public assistance application for all eligibility services and ongoing case management support for my job specialist. Due to this ongoing support, I was able to complete my education and recently graduated from Fresno State with my master's degree. I am truly grateful for these programs and hope they will continue to assist many more families. I apologize for not being able to attend this board meeting personally, but she just started her new career on June 24th, so she wanted to give thanks to everyone.
All right, thank you. With that, I'm going to close the public portion. I'm going to bring it back to the board, and I'll make a motion to approve the resolution. Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Please step forward with your team. We'll get some pictures with you.
Come, everybody's wearing green.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys? Thank you.
Good morning. How you doing?
Thank you for your comments. Good morning. Hello again. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you.
And good morning. Thank you.
We now move to item number 5 under Supervisor Mendez. Proclaim July 21st through July 27, 2024 as pretrial probation parole supervision week in Fresno County.
Good morning, Board, and to all of you. Kirk Haynes, your Chief Probation Officer. Good to see all of you this morning. I do want to invite all of our probation staff that are here along with me this morning. You guys come around here, yeah. So we can all the way out. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Thank you. Thank you. This morning, we're here to celebrate our annual pretrial probation and parole services week, which actually takes place the week of July 21st through July 27th to honor the probation professionals who work to keep our communities safe and to support the rehabilitative process for justice-involved individuals under the supervision in our care. Throughout that week, the probation family will be showcasing the work we do throughout the county to provide accountability, opportunity, and hope for justice-involved individuals, making a real difference in the lives of people using evidence-based rehabilitation that helps people achieve long-term success and sustainable communities safely. The unwavering dedication, expertise of the probation staff behind me enables our clients to guide and support the justice-involved individuals, assisting them in a successful reentry into their communities through a balanced and enforceable accountability and opportunities for change. And 2024 has been an especially challenging year for probation work, just because of so many different things that have come to the work that we do. So I want to show my appreciation to the probation officers for their dedication to ensuring the safety of our youth and their fellow JCOs, the juvenile correctional officers, by providing supplemental shift coverage at the JJC as we have addressed unprecedented vacancies at the juvenile justice campus. Also, I want to say thank you to the probation officers for their collaborative work to try to take on the challenge of organized retail theft, partnering with the Fresno Police Department, the DA's office, also with Clovis PD to address, like I said, organized retail theft. I want to say thank you to our victim advocates who in April hosted an honor walk and resource fair for the first time during our National Victims Rights Week. We had guests representing the survivors, family members, and law enforcement from various county departments and community-based organizations who came together as one to show support and to honor those who are crime survivors. I also want to give a shout out to our Crime Victims Assistance Center. They presented at the Chief Probation Officer State Conference a couple of weeks ago and did an outstanding job presenting the information there. And it's tough to please a room full of probation officers, but they actually got a standing ovation for their presentation at the end. So I want to say thank you to the victim advocates for the work that they did there. Also, I want to say thank you to our juvenile correctional officers for their seamless transition of our youth that returned from the Department of Juvenile Justice that closed their doors last summer. Since that closure, we've housed over 30 youth from Fresno County in our secure youth treatment facility who would have otherwise been in the care of the state. And to remind the board, these are young people who would have served their long periods of time at the Department of Juvenile Justice for pretty serious crimes. All those youth are now back and being supervised within the counties. And so I just want to say thank you to the JCOs for the work that they did. Finally, I want to say thank you to the board and thank you to the CAO's office for their support as we made salaries for our juvenile correctional officers way more competitive so that we could try to put a dent in our vacancy rate as well. And also I want to say thank you for your advocacy efforts to the governor and to the legislature for the work where it garnered $103 million in order for us to provide funding for critical victim services for this 24-25 state's budget. So I want to just say thank you for that. This year's theme is Wellness Unveiled, Navigating the Journey. It emphasizes the need to promote physical and mental health well-being. This serves as a reminder that in order for us to be able to give our best care to the community, we must not forget to make sure that we take care of ourselves first. During Probation Services Week, it's essential to recognize the probation officers, the juvenile correctional officers, the victim advocates, and all of the staff of the probation department for their dedication to the people we work with in our community. And so I want to say thank you again for allowing us. I want to say thank you, Vice Chairman Mendez, for sponsoring today's proclamation. Really appreciate that. And also a reminder that we will be having our probation employee recognition and our swearing-in ceremony, which is going to be on July the 18th at 2 o'clock, and hoping that you and all of the community can come out and support us. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Yeah, I've got Chief, can you tell the board how many people that you have to, that are on parole that you have to see at any given time? At any given time, we are serving about 10,000 adults, who are, served that are under some kind of form of supervision, and close to about 1,000 juveniles that are and growing because of the reallocation of those individuals back to the locals. So
that number continues to grow along with the work that we've been doing in the adult realm with the adult realignment as well.
Right, so it's a superhuman effort.
Superhuman, and all of these folks all play a part in that. You know, you think about all the work that we do, whether, you know, it's the victim advocates or the probation officers on the street, the correctional officers in the juvenile hall, providing professional services to all of these youth, making sure that youth and staff are safe, whether it be in the institution or out on the street. I put my officers up against any law enforcement agency in the county regarding how they're trained, how technically skilled they are, the work that they do, both in front of the public and behind the scenes. It can't go said enough for the work that they do and the quality that they get it done in.
Anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none? Oh, we do have someone.
Good morning, Board. My name is Torrio Mondragon. I'm president to the Fresno County Deputy Probation Officers Association. I'd just like to thank the Chief for recognizing the Deputy Probation Officer Series, Unit 11, for their efforts to keep the community safe. Also, to recognize members from Unit 2 that are present here, and also members from Unit 36. All of us, a combined effort, we are one department, and we all strive to achieve the safety of the community and also for the people that we serve. So thank you, the board, for recognizing us in our work that we do diligently. Thank you.
Seeing no further public comment, I'm going to close the public portion, bring it back to the board for a motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. Please step forward and we'll get a picture with you.
Perfect. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3.
We now move to item number 17, pulled by a member of the public under Supervisor Quintero, proclaim August 2024 as World Breastfeeding Awareness Month in Fresno County.
Supervisor Quintero. Actually, is it okay if I introduce the item?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we have representatives here, and so Breastfeeding Awareness Month is something very important. Just the connection that a child can have with the mother is significant, and the nutritional benefits of breast milk far exceed formula. And so I think it's important for mothers, young families to be aware of just the benefits. And there are many different organizations and people in the community, including Fresno EOC, that's there to assist new mothers to teach them proper techniques. But we have some representatives here today who are going to share with us the benefits of breastfeeding and Breastfeeding Awareness Month.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for your time, Chairman Magzik, and thank you to Supervisor Quintero for sponsoring our proclamation proclaiming August as World Breastfeeding Month. My name is Felicia Escueda Rodriguez. I am the current chair of the Fresno County Breastfeeding Coalition and one of the inpatient lactation consultants at Kaiser in Fresno. We are a group of people who work for different agencies, hospitals, EOC WIC, and everybody is represented. We have a few people here because in addition to this, we all have jobs that deal with that. We know that babies who are breastfed have less risk of ear infections in the first years of life colds, different viruses. And if they do get sick, they tend not to get hospitalized. They're not sick as long. We do know since the pandemic, because immediately when the pandemic for COVID-19 happened, they started to do research. And what they found was that the virus antibodies stay in the breast milk for about 8 months. So that baby, if the mother is exclusively breastfeeding, will get that protection of the COVID-19 as it would the flu or a cold or anything like that. So those antibodies are there to protect the baby. When babies are first in the hospital and they get colostrum, colostrum has antiviral, antibacterial. It has stem cells in it, which will go to wherever the baby needs. And if a mom has a preterm baby born before 38 weeks, 36 weeks, 35 weeks, the body will know to make a different kind of milk. Once the placenta delivers, the body says, I made a baby, and the baby was born early. So we'll have extra fats and everything in it. So it's very, very good. And this will last, these benefits will last a lifetime. So it decreases chronic illnesses as we get older. So we want to, sorry, lost my train of thought. We know that breastfeeding is the best way to feed our babies, and like I said, it decreases colds and everything. The World Alliance of the Breastfeeding Action World Breastfeeding Week focus on survival, health, and well-being of reduced inequities in closing the gap for breastfeeding support for all. The focus of improving breastfeeding support for the vulnerable groups all include the non-white, black, Hispanic, anybody who is coming here of low income. There's several WIC agencies in Fresno County. One of them alone has 28,000 members or 28,000 participants in it. So there's several more. So you can see that in Fresno County, we have a lot of babies who fall into the inequity part of our population. So we're here to help them, serve them, educate them, and bring an awareness to the importance of breastfeeding. Okay. And on the August 3rd, we will have our 16th annual breastfeeding walk and celebration, awareness walk and celebration that will start at 8 o'clock. And we're very happy to say that the first one we had after the pandemic was pretty good and really popular, and we have even more people registered. So thank you for your time. And I appreciate everything. You guys are a little scary, I gotta say.
We're a bunch of old guys, so we are kind of scary. Well, thank you for that. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on this proclamation? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. And Sal, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to read a small portion of the proclamation in terms of the work that you're doing in our community, which we're very grateful for the outreach that you provide. It says, the Fresno County Breastfeeding Coalition will continue to engage individuals and organizations to enhance collaborations and support breastfeeding. By working toward galvanizing our community, getting breastfeeding support to the most vulnerable groups, and help reduce the inequities that exist in our county. So I want to thank you for all that work that you're doing and providing the services to the most vulnerable of our community as well. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to proclaim August 2024 as the World Breastfeeding Awareness Month.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. Please step forward. Please step forward, and we'll give you your proclamation. We'll get a picture.
Stand in the middle. Hold that open, yeah, and then the other ladies will be around.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to see you. Oh, I learned it all from you. Remember, I used to be EOC family too.
One more.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 18.1, pulled by Supervisor Quintero, adjourn in memory of Robert Spent.
Thank you. I wanted to pull this item for adjourning in memory of Robert Bob Specht. And Robert Bob, as everybody called him, was a volunteer at the Veterans Museum and spent a lot of time there, very quietly working on a lot of projects, helping out, doing the work that needed to get done. But I think, I know that he was more than that to a lot of people, including myself. He was a good listener, very respectful, studious kind of guy. And I guess the big word was that he was a friend to all. He was dedicated, and I'd call him a super volunteer and a team player. Bob was always available for anything that needed to get done. And some of the members from the museum are here today to talk a little bit about him and really shed more insight on the type of person he was. Wanted to ask Mike Harris to come forward and say a few words about Bob.
Good morning, Board. Mike Harris, I'm the Deputy Director of the museum, the home of the nation's Legion of Valor. And Bob, one of the extraordinary things about him is that he worked at that facility for almost 25 years. And for up till about a year ago, it was 6 days a week. So he was very, very dedicated to keeping the operation running. He always told me that no matter what happened, he wasn't going to let the thing sink on his watch. It appears now that's on my shoulders, but we'll talk about that some other time. Bob was an Air Force veteran. His military occupation specialty was a photo mapper. And the fortunate thing for us here in Fresno is that he was assigned to the 144th Fighter Wing here at Hammer Field, which is now the Fresno Air Terminal. So he put in a great deal of contributions towards the city's well-being and protection, as well as the museum staff. And he's going to be sorely missed. The Legion of Valor of the United States, there's only one, is a representation of military personnel that have won the Congressional Medal of Honor, or the second below the Distinguished Service Crosses, the two highest awards in the land. Today we have the privilege of having Mr. Phil Conrad stand up. Phil has been submitted for the Congressional Medal of Honor. His actions go back to Vietnam, where he was a helicopter pilot. He was shot down, wounded, directed artillery barrages in to overcome a large opposing force, rescued and saved several of our troops. He's been denied that Congressional Medal of Honor since those days, and he got the Air Force Cross because we were in Laos, which was a big secret. So we weren't, he wasn't privileged with getting the nation's highest honor, but we're working on it. The other fellows on my staff here, Doug Hamilton, U.S. Navy, Thomas Schindler, U.S. Army, also another combat wounded veteran, Michael Gravelis, Vietnam veteran, also a combat wounded, Derek Robinson, Army, and Elaine Gallo. She's one of our volunteers that works for the police department with CERT. With that, I want to thank the board for recognizing Bob's service, and I know his family would really appreciate it, or will appreciate it.
We want to thank all of you for your service as well. Very much appreciated, and thank you for continuing to volunteer.
And I do believe the museum is the only thing in the whole county of Fresno that's free. So I encourage everybody to come and visit.
Thank you. This is a ceremonial item. I don't believe this is one that we need to open to the public for additional discussion. But since it was pulled and we did offer up some comment, one of the things I would like to do is just to vote formally and receive or to vote formally on this certificate. So with that, would you like to make a motion, Sal?
Yes. As Bob Specht Day, like to make a motion to today honor Bob Specht and make it Bob Specht Day in Fresno County.
Is there a second? We have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you all for being here and honoring his legacy and carrying that forward, so we really appreciate it.
We now move to item number 47, which was pulled by a member of the public. Under probation, approve and authorize chairman to execute a retroactive revenue agreement with Tulare County to house detained youth from the Tulare County at the Juvenile Justice Campus.
Good morning, Kirk Haynes, your Chief Probation Officer. Regarding item 47, this was brought back from the last Board of Supervisors meeting, asking for the department to meet and confer with Unit 11. We had a chance to meet with Unit 11 on June 28th of 2024, and I'm here and available for any questions if you have any.
Any questions for our chief? All right, we don't have any at this time. I'm going to open it up to the public. Any members of the public wishing to comment on this item, please do so now.
Good morning. I don't know if I still have to present who I am. I already said it, but good morning again. Good morning, board. We thank you for the board for allowing our association to meet with our department regarding the June 18th agenda item 55 and 56. After meeting with the department, we presented them with our issues with the proposal. However, we did not disagree with allowing the proposal to allow secure track youth to be brought into from Tulare, as we are a regional sex offender hub for the central region. We do not oppose that. However, we still do not agree to allow non-secure track youth to be brought in from Tulare County. Our issues that we have brought up and we're bringing it up to you guys right now is that Tulare County obviously is a whole different county with a whole different set of issues regarding gang issues that we don't have presently in Fresno. We do have a gang issue here in Fresno. However, they're localized Fresno gangs. By allowing youth from Tulare County to now be housed at Fresno will create a safety issue for the people that are working in the institution. Also, that would cause a potential increase in JGC population, causing an extension to our side letter agreement. If we have more youth coming in, obviously that's an issue we're still having now. And also that will cause POs, with an extension, will cause POs to be pulled from their caseloads and off the streets and protecting the public itself, as POs are currently being pulled from their assignments right now to work in the institution right now with an agreement that we have with the department. And furthermore, increasing the number of youth allowed in our county would increase that and it'll probably keep us working in the institution longer. I know our department has said that they are trying to get us out of there, but at this present moment, we're still there and we're actually still working on the side letter agreement again for another extension. So those are the issues that we had. Again, thank the board for allowing the department to meet with us, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion, but I'm going to ask Chief Haynes if you can maybe talk a little bit about the issues raised about safety. My understanding at the JJC, we've got about 100 youth there currently. We used to have about 300 plus there, and so, but the safety issue is something I would very much like you to talk about, because I want to make sure that ratios of staff to young men and women that we have there are always balanced. So if you can talk about that, that'd be great.
Of course, and you're right, Chairman Magzik. I'd say 10 years ago, I was the director at the Juvenile Justice Campus. At that time, we had about 300 youth in custody. Since then, we've done a lot of work, both locally and also at the state level, influencing state law to try to make sure that interventions that we do, like I said earlier today, are evidence-based and have the opportunity for young people to be able to succeed beyond the time that they're at the JJC. Thus, this revolving door that we had, that we had 10 years ago, it looks very different today for a lot of factors, and a lot of them are because of the officers that we work with, changes in law, but also just the dedication of the work that we do there. Regarding safety of the institution and gang involvement and those kinds of things, it's true that Fresno County certainly does have a gang issue amongst our young people. I'm not sure how different it is from Tulare to Fresno, but what I can say is that we do have interventions in place for any youth that does come into custody that is met with those kinds of issues of gang involvement. We make sure that all youth that are accepted into the JJC are assessed for those kinds of things. So if there's a need for interventions to deal with gang interventions or to deal with other kinds of things, whether it be substance abuse, family dynamics, those kinds of things are vetted out at the very beginning of when they come in and addressed, and so that ultimately, when they do reenter the community, whatever the county that they're going to reenter, we've given them some tools so that when they leave, and also when they're there, that they can program and they can get along with the kids and the staff that are there as well. The other thing that I would just mention in regard to youth that are non-secure track, because the contract does talk about non-secure track young people that would come in. The reason for this revenue agreement is for us to be able to protect the county when, for instance, we have young people who are brought into custody who have pretty significant medical issues, whether as a result of their activities prior to them coming into custody. So pretty significant medical issues for some people, pretty significant criminal involvement. And so when youth are brought into our care, this agreement would allow for Tulare County, in this instance, to be able to pick up the bill if we have to send a kid out of the institution for medical care. This is very clearly laid out in this agreement that the county, Fresno County, would not be on the hook for extraordinary medical kind of coverage for kids that are under this agreement. So I think that's important to note, because if we do accept a kid who is a non-secure track youth, there have been occasions when kids have been picked up on out of county warrants, and the court, by order, orders our department to house that person until they can be released back to their county of jurisdiction. So you have an overlapping jurisdictional issues that may happen. While that youth is in custody, it could take up to 10 days for the extradition process to take place. During that time that youth is in our care, it would be good for us to be able to have some type of an agreement with the county, that sending county, so that if there were medical things or other issues that would come under this agreement, that would be covered through this agreement. So it means for us to be able to protect the county. That's just one example where there would be some protection for the county in case those extraordinary expenses do happen, because they're clearly laid out in this contract.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, thank you for that. It's time for motions. So we've got a motion by Supervisor Mendez for staff's recommendation for approval. Is there a second? And we have a second. Motion a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We thank you for being here today on this item. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We now move to item 48, which was pulled by Supervisor Brandow, as he wishes to recuse himself from this item. Under Public Health, approve and authorize chairman to execute First Amendment to agreement with KWPH Enterprises.
All right, and here to present this item is going to be Mr. Lucchini, and I, just for the record, item 52, I believe, Supervisor Brandow is also going to recuse himself.
Would you like me to take both of those up?
No, I don't think they fit. We'll do them separate. 48 first.
Oh, 48. These are just standard agreements. 48. This is through our EMS Regional Communication Dispatch Center, and this is for agreement for the services with City of Hanford. So,
perfect. Any questions for staff on that item?
Help pay for the cost.
Seeing none, anyone in the public wishing to comment on the item? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, bring it back to the board for action. We have a motion for staff's recommendation. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Anybody oppose? Carries 4 with 1 abstention.
Recusal.
Or recusal. Thank you.
We now move to item number 52, under Public Health, approve and authorize the chairman to execute a retroactive revenue agreement with the City of Hanford.
So similar thing, Hanford Fire, both pays from Hanford reimbursement, American Ambulance reimbursing us for our part. Their EMS Communication Regional, I forget to introduce myself, David Lucchini, Director of Fresno County Department of Public Health. And as you know, our Director of EMS oversees EMS in 4 counties, so this is part of that.
All right. Anyone, any board members need clarification on anything? Seeing none. Anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries 4 with 1 recusal. All right.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes all our consent items that were pulled from this morning. We return back to your regular agenda. Item number 6, under Public Works and Planning, consider appeal pursuant to Public Resources Code 21151C of Planning Commission's adoption of mitigated negative declaration. Prepare for initial study number A319.
All right, Public Works, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm David Randall with the Public Works and Planning Department. This item is an appeal of the mitigated neg deck that was adopted for DRA 4720. That's a director's review and approval. It was adopted by the Planning Commission on October 26 on a vote of 7-0. The DRA allows a trucking operation exclusively for agricultural uses on goods at 1594 South Brawley Avenue, which is on the east side of Brawley Avenue, approximately 900 feet south of Church Avenue. The Commission's decision was based on an appeal of an approval of the Director's review from staff, and normally per the zoning ordinance, the Commission's decision would have been final. It would not have provided an additional opportunity for an appeal. However, CEQA, Public Resource Code 2151C, allows if a non-elected decision-making body, in this case the Planning Commission, approves a mitigated neg deck, and the decision then can be appealed to the legislative body, your board. An appeal of the M&D was filed on April 15th by the appellant, Rebecca Vivenzi. Staff would note that the appeal before the board is specifically to address the adequacy of the mitigated neg deck and or environmental mitigation measures. This item has not been publicly noticed or agendized for discussion of an appeal of the land use application or conditions of approval of the DRA 4720. The board may choose to uphold the Planning Commission's adoption of the mitigated neg declaration, or you may uphold the appeal and rescind the Planning Commission's adoption of the mitigated neg deck for the initial study, which would stay the land use approval. And you could then direct the applicant to prepare environmental impact report for the project and return to the board with an updated CEQA document, or you could continue the matter directing the applicant to conduct additional studies and or direct staff to modify the mitigated negative declaration to address specific concerns you might have and return to the board for a future hearing. We have a PowerPoint, if you so choose, we can show you, or we have aerial maps and site plans if you'd like to see at any time. And that concludes my brief summary.
If I may add on to that, staff does request, if the board chooses to uphold the Planning Commission's decision, to include an indemnification condition. And the appellant does have a PowerPoint presentation that they have loaded and would like to present to the board. Of course, it's the board's discretion to do so.
Questions for staff? All right, I think we'll get right to public comments before we have additional comments. So with that, I'm going to open up the public portion. Any members in the public wishing to comment on this item? And we're going to start is the individual who filed the appeal of the Planning Commission decision. We're going to start with that person first, just to share. And you're going to have a little bit more time, probably about double time that someone would normally have, so you can state your case since you brought the appeal.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Rebecca Vivenzi. I'm the appellant of the DRA 4720. I have the presentation more so because in education, they say sometimes visual, hearing, and hands-on. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody gets the clear information across. I don't know if this can put it up or not? As you guys
Yeah.
also have in front of you.
And Rebecca, I'd ask for you to speak a little bit closer to the microphone.
Sorry.
That'd be perfect.
Is that better? I'm still
Yes,
not.
that's better. As close as you can get
All
is
right.
perfect.
Don't ask me to sing. I'm not a very good singing voice. Okay. And when I just push that arrow button there. Okay. It's still not up. There it goes. Okay. So just a little quick background. It was purchased on August 3rd, 2021. Requested permit for was on October 2022. So over a year later, after complaints were filed, Miranda Trucking went ahead and finally requested a permit for his operation. The DRA 4720 was approved on October 26th, as they said, and then I filed for the appeal hearing on April 15th, as I was advised. Why the appeal? Because of zoning, fraudulent permit application, conflict of interest, negative effect on agricultural and other trucking operations, community and employee safety, CEQA, increases neighbor property values, which is higher taxes for the neighbors to pay, as well as a discriminatory DRA process. Zoning for trucking trucking operations are not agriculture. Zoning AE is agriculture exclusive, agricultural is consumption. Donald Miranda stated at the Planning Commission at the meeting held on October 26th that his trucking operation was previously located on an industrial zoned lot. This shows he knew of the zoning required for his business. Tony Boren, whose title of Executive Director, Fresno Council of Government, spoke at that same meeting for Donald Miranda Trucking, admitted that the trucking operation does not exclusively, and I repeat, does not exclusively haul agricultural products. Also by him representing a family member while on taxpayers' payroll cost with intent for a permit approval is a conflict of interest. I personally witnessed on a few occasions Donald Miranda trucks working on road constructions while driving in town. Fresno County Ordinance Code 8164F says not allowed are truck yards, terminals, or facilities unless devoted, again, exclusively to the transportation of agricultural products, supplies, equipment. Ordinance Code 8161F, the harvesting, curing, processing, packaging, shipping, and selling of agricultural produced upon the premises is subject to the provisions of 855 and 32. The one that I have in the permit approval, which is for Ordinance Code Section 816.1G, is the one, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, that's the last one. This one is not in the permit approval. When carried on clearly as a secondary occupation in conjunction with a bona fide agricultural operation, where no more than 10% of the land and no more than 3 persons other than the owner are employed in such activities, which are owned and operated by the owner of the premises for the following uses: the transportation of agricultural products, supplies, or equipment together with the maintenance, storage, repair, and service of necessary trucks and equipment thereof. The next code, which is listed in the permit, said the reason for approval was 816.2T, which is subject to the DRA. The maintenance and storage of trucks and trailers when such vehicles are devoted exclusively to transportation of agricultural products, supplies, and equipment. The whole ordinance itself states that it's agricultural exclusive, not trucking. In the permit approval, Exhibit 1, conditions of approval, number 2, any conditions of approval of this permit or that the permittee is operating in a manner that is inconsistent with or that is not accordance with the approved statement of operation is grounds for revocation. You can see here, Donald Miranda Trucking, business advertisement, sand and gravel hauling. The truth, fraud is a wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. The west side of Fresno is saturated with agriculture trucking operation imposters. Donald Miranda trucking is part of that problem. This hurts agriculture in the community, but also other trucking operations who are following the rules and trying to survive while staying financially competitive. I believe Fresno County should be a proactive, farmer-friendly county. I know that they previously stated that the size of the operation or the lot was 5 acres, as if it didn't matter to agriculture, but I can tell you, I know a mother of 2 daughters who operates her sole proprietorship on a chicken farm of approximately 5 acres so that she can provide a supplemental income for her to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. So small farms do matter. You got hundreds of FFA and agriculture studies graduates who want to be farmers, but lack land availability and financial justification with the rising cost of land due to other industries fraudulently impeding on ag zone land. There's an increased cost on farmland due to fraudulent land use, causing neighboring properties to pay higher property taxes due to the higher property assessments. I grew up believing that farmland being developed was what the farmer and community wanted. Unfortunately, I have learned that is not the case. In almost every situation, farmers are being forced to sell. Farmers are being surrounded by environments that make it difficult to execute their right to farm. It becomes a constant battle. It is near impossible to find peaceful living in agriculture anymore. Next, CEQA. So the California Environmental Act, initial study reports are not satisfactory to CEQA guidelines. Reports are insufficient and do not provide proper studies and lack adequate details regarding the actual impact on the environment and community. These types of reports are required for reasons including but not limited to the loss of life. You had 58 accidents in 2 years in proximity, with 4 being fatal. One of them was an employee of Donald Miranda Trucking, was killed on Brawley Avenue while returning back to the property. The accident is documented by police to have occurred on April 7, 2022, around 6:25 p.m. This time is outside of Miranda's claimed business hours of 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the permit application. There's a nearby school that's 1.3 miles from the property. The school is impacted. They asked Donald Miranda not to drive down that road. However, we have witnessed his trucks driving down that road in front of the school, along with other trucks who feel like they have a right to be there as well. There's inadequate lighting. There's not any street lights on Broad Avenue. These are county roads and primarily a farming community. There's the air pollution, noise pollution, road congestion, soil contamination.
And if you could, we're going to give you a few more moments. If I could have you wrap up some of the most salient points. And we have the packet of information right in front of us as well, so thank you.
So, as well as them driving down the road, I can also tell you why the lighting matters. I just experienced 2 weeks ago while coming home with my 2 daughters from a swim meet at 9 o'clock at night, another trucking operation on Brawley Avenue. There's no lights. All you see was this barely reflective lights on a trailer and these other headlights coming towards you. And you didn't know they looked like they were stuck underneath the truck. Apparently that truck couldn't maneuver around and get onto Brawley Avenue. And you couldn't tell from where I was pulling on from 180. So you had to approach that slowly. My son is getting his driver's license soon. And I fear what these trucking operations in our community are doing to what could happen to him.
I appreciate you bringing this forward, and we're going to reserve opportunity to ask you some additional questions here in a little bit, but with that I need to get to other people in the audience that may want to speak. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of the appeal? All right, is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of the trucking operation and who are in support of the Planning Commission's approval of this item? Please step forward at this time.
My name's Donald Miranda, and we're the property owners. When we took possession of that property, we were under the impression that trucks were allowed there because it was used for that. In the past, it used to be a slaughterhouse. And so when we purchased it from the Johnson family, it had been vacant for 10 years, and they had vagrants, and there was just a lot of bad actors that were in the neighborhood there. And so upon our taking possession of that, we were able to get rid of the vagrants that were hanging out in the back by the canal. And then the adjoining property, there was people living in a motorhome that were bringing in stolen property, boats, cars, stripping them, whatever it would be. Even the rental equipment. We'd had the police show up several times at our location inquiring about stolen property, in which we directed them to where we believed it was, because they had the stolen property on GPSs. So after that, and learning more, we went through the DRA process, and the staff was extremely helpful in guiding us through all of that and making sure that we met all the goals that were required. And so then beyond that, then of course the Planning Commission had a unanimous approval of that. Our operation, I think I submitted letters of support from some of the farmers that we work for, stating what type of products that we haul for them. And as far as the farm industry and the PM10 requirements, which mitigates all the dust control throughout the valley, there's a lot of farmers that are in need for dust control products, and we provide that as well, for their haul roads and stuff like that. And then also with the lack of water in the valley, you can see where a lot of farmers have decided not to grow, and they've then expanded in these solar farms throughout. And we've had to haul products to the solar farms, which is going to be the gravels for the roads, for underneath the panels themselves, as well as the roads for the dust control. And so, we haul these types of products. These are all things that I feel are ag-related.
Yeah, if I could have you just wrap up your comments here.
Anyways, I believe that with the staff's recommendation and the Planning Commission's recommendations, I think we're all, we're doing what's being asked of us.
Very good.
As well as, providing jobs for the local community, which we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing for the public I want to point out, because I know that, Rebecca, as you have appealed this, and some of the comments that you made were specific to the operation, and County Council, help me if I'm mistaken here, but as I've reviewed this particular item, the only thing that this board is here to do today is to not look at the operation per se, but just either uphold what the Planning Commission did as it relates to the mitigated negative declaration. Is that correct? Or is there more that we're supposed to be doing as it relates to the operation, zoning, site plan? Because when I look at this item, it's only about the mitigated negative declaration, and so that's how we need to be focused.
Yeah, the codes applying to CEQA require that the appeal may be made to the legislative body for the CEQA event. Our procedures do not allow an appeal past the Planning Commission for a DRA approval. That's appealed to the Planning Commission. Under our procedures, the DRA approval itself is final at the Planning Commission. What's before the board is whether the negative declaration is adequate and whether you want to accept that or not.
And the reason I wanted to point that out to you is I know a lot of the comments, both individuals who are appealing this today, you, Rebecca, and then the representatives that are here from the operation, our focus has to be very narrow as it relates to the mitigated negative declaration. And so the ruling that we do here shortly is going to be specific to that. So I just want to make sure that that is absolutely clear as we move forward with the decision here today.
Okay. I think I understand. I thought from what the items I listed on the appeal request stated other issues as well in relation to CEQA. And like I said, the environmental impact on this. So I think all these items are related to it. I know the Planning Commission didn't seem like they understood all the ordinance that were not being followed. And so that's why I went ahead and brought those with me today as well.
Excellent, and I appreciate you being here today, so thank you for that. Is there anyone else in the public wishing to comment on this item?
Hello, my name is James Wilson. I'm an employee for Donald Miranda Trucking. I've been a driver for 25 years, and in that 25 years, I've never had a single accident. I've received multiple awards for safety, and I just wanted to address her safety concerns about this. She did mention the school. We have a strict policy that we've implemented that no driver is allowed to go past that school. We have alternative routes that we go, and if any driver is found to intentionally have gone past that school, it's grounds for immediate termination. And so in the event that you find, or any member of the public finds one of our trucks driving past that school, please notify us. We have GPS on every truck. We'll do a very quick investigation to find out if that was true or not, and we'll take appropriate actions to go from there. As far as the issue of one of our drivers dying, I would just like to state that he was an impeccable driver with a great reputation, and in that case, he avoided a drunk driver, and he sacrificed his own life into a tree in order to leave a drunk driver harmless. And so I think that needs to be stated, that he wasn't being reckless in any way, shape, or form, and that he's not with us anymore. He's not going to go home to his family because he chose to make sure that somebody who was in a Jeep didn't get harmed when she was drunk. And she has been prosecuted, and she is in prison now. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that in that certain situation, the only fatality that we've had, it was not our fault. And with that, I appreciate the board's time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Daniel Panuna. Good morning to the board. I'm a neighbor. I'm a neighbor. I'm a neighbor with Donald Miranda, and actually, I've known Donald and his business for over 30 or 40 years, and it's been very.
If you can get closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Good morning. My name is Daniel Panuna. I'm a neighbor where Donald bought his property. I've known Donald for over at least 30 years, and I thought it was going to be a very cordial neighborly thing to see him in the neighborhood, and he actually did a lot of cleanup in the area, and he was putting everything in place, and I thought it was a very good thing, and he's been very helpful in everything that he's done in that particular neighborhood. So I hear the pros and cons of this particular situation, but to me, it's been very positive. It's been very positive because his business is on Brawley and I live on Valentine, so I know when he moved in there, he was it was a change, and I couldn't see it right away, but I knew something was going on back there, but I didn't know for sure until he let me know, and I thought it was going to be a very positive thing, and it has been. As far as I know, it's been a positive effect for my particular case. Anyway, thank you so much.
Do you think that there should be street lights out there?
Say that again.
Do you feel like there should be street lights so that people can see at nighttime the operation?
I was raised in the country, so to me, lights is a very would help. It would help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's going to affect anything one way or the other because of traffic. Because if you live out in the country, you need to check the road twice, 3 times, sometimes 4 times, just to make sure everything's fine. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, the appellant, I'm going to, if there's other people who wish to speak.
Good morning. My name is Janice Tanya Nazarov. I work for Fresno County Public Library for 25 years, but more importantly, I am the wife of Jeffrey Nazarov that was killed. Jeffrey was a farmer and a truck driver for 40 years. We farmed out in Kerman, but he drove truck because to pay for the farming, basically. Farming doesn't cut it for just when you have a small farm. We had 40 acres and we could not survive on that. He had a wonderful record. He was an incredible truck driver. He drove for Clay Miranda Trucking, Donald's family, in the 90s, and then left, and then drove on his own, and then came back. April of 2020, he came back to work for Donald Miranda Trucking. He was a wonderful driver. He was coming home from the evening, coming down Brawley, and Miss Calderon ran the stop sign on Church and Brawley. He didn't have a stop sign. She had a stop sign. There is no stop sign going south. She was supposed to stop, and she didn't. She was drunk. She had at an hour after when they tested her blood, she was at 0.22. She was employed at Foster Farms Poultry Plant, which was 2.5 miles away from that intersection. She left the plant that day under the influence and drove and ran the stop sign and killed him. And excuse me. As he said, she has been prosecuted and she is in prison. Jeff was a wonderful driver, and he had the utmost respect for Donald Miranda as a fellow truck driver and truck business owner. And he enjoyed working for him, and they were very knowledgeable in the trucking industry, and they did a wonderful job, and they followed all the rules and regulations. And I was approached by Ms. Vicenzi to speak on her behalf, but it was not the fault at all, in my opinion, of Jeff or the trucking company. The accident was caused because she ran the stop sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mallory Rainier. I am also a neighbor. I live on the corner of Brawley and Church Avenue and witnessed that fatal accident. But I have to say that Donald's employees have been the most respectful drivers on that road. We see cars speeding, trucks speeding, including county trucks, speeding on that road. But Donald's trucks slow down for that corner as if there were a stop sign there. And I can testify that they do not drive past that school. They turn off, they go on California, or they go down to Jensen Avenues. They don't regularly drive Brawley Avenue all the way down to where the school is. I have been so pleased to have them as neighbors. What they've done to clean up that neighborhood and improve that area is beyond, it's just been a wonderful feeling to feel safe and to have that area cleaned up and have respectful neighbors out there. So I just want to keep them as neighbors, and thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to hear from the appellant one last time, and then I'm going to close the public portion. And again, if any additional comments you think we need to take into consideration as it relates to the mitigated negative declaration.
So in response to the comment, the accident was not, or the comment regarding the question, the accident was not about the driver's abilities. It was the fact that that driver shouldn't have been there. Mr. Miranda didn't have a permit to operate there at the time. That's why I gave you the dates. And so that's why I'm saying he should have never been there. He would have never been killed there. Secondly, is in regards to the neighborhood cleanup or his area where he's at, any farmer could have done that. Any farmer, anyone who's, all these people with the drive to be in the agriculture industry could have purchased that property and done the same thing and cleaned it up the neighborhood as well. But like I said, they're causing the prices to increase to make it more difficult to agricultural studies students to purchase it. It's not very easy to do. And so you have these trucking operations have a higher income and able to do that because of the amount of money they get paid. That's why they're supposed to be on industrial zone lot. Again, agriculture is consumption. It is not trucking. It is clearly stated in the Fresno Ordinance 816, AE exclusive. That's what my point is.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to close the public portion, bring it back to the board. Any additional clarifying comments that we need from County Council, Public Works? If not, it's time for, the public portion's closed on this particular item. So we'll make a decision now. So,
Yeah, I'd like to ask a couple questions.
yes, please.
All right. So, you know, I know we're here to talk about the CEQA, the neg deck, and we have to make our decision based on that, but both sides of the story are not really talking about that. They're talking about the operation. So I've got to ask a couple questions. So this lady, the appellant, you know, has a couple of code quotations of our Fresno County Code. And are you guys saying that those don't apply? Or they do apply? Her point is accurate, that there's a trucking operation on an ag-zoned piece of parcel.
So that operation is permitted with a director review and approval under the old ordinance, which this was processed, not the one that was recently adopted, but 8816.2 T, which says the maintenance and storage of trucks and trailers when such vehicles are devoted exclusively to the transportation of agricultural products, supplies, and equipment. So permitted with the approval of a director review and approval. And that's how this was processed under that provision.
That's the conditions on the DRA that was approved.
When was that approved?
October 2022?
October 26,
23, I'm sorry, October 26, 2023. It's when the director review and approval was approved by the Planning Commission.
Okay, so last year. All right. I want to talk with you guys about this after we're done voting on a CEQA issue.
I'll address that.
Yeah.
This is in my district. While I am familiar with the area, I'm not exactly sure where this is exactly located. In terms of the light request, this is out in the rural part of the county, and quite candidly, is not practical to put a street light. Where it is out in the rural section of the town and of the county, and just isn't practical. It'd be nice, but not practical. Being an ag, I can vouch for the Miranda Company. They have a good reputation. I know of no issues against them, and they do primarily haul ag commodities. I think it was good of the chairman to bring up that this is primarily on the CEQA. I think Mrs. Vivenzi has clearly demonstrated that they do not exclusively haul ag products. If we were to base our decision on that, while I am in favor of the company, I would uphold her appeal because even the owner stated that they do other things that they feel are related to ag but aren't exactly ag. So that would be an interpretation of that ruling that county council and staff would have to help us interpret. If we were basing our decision on that, again, I would uphold the appeal because I don't feel that they are an exclusive ag hauler, which according to be on an AE ag parcel, you have to be exclusively ag, and I, from today's testimony, do not believe they are not. However, that decision was made from our staff's point of view, which is I believe you want to go, because that needs to be looked at further in the future. Mm-hmm. And the Planning Commission is the body to uphold if that's appropriate or not. So to me, that decision has already been made, whether it was right or wrong, that decision is made, and we are not here to clarify that decision or not if I understand the rules as presented by County Council and our chairman. We're clearly here to go over the CEQA document for a mitigated negative deck, and according to staff, the staff believe that they have met the requirements for a mitigated negative deck.
Yes, we believe that.
And does County Council concur?
We do.
See?
And I might just state further, Supervisor, what you're talking about, the DRA has the requirements the way the ordinance is, which is exclusive. So if there were a code enforcement matter here, they would be, potentially violating the DRA if they don't operate within the terms of the DRA.
Yeah.
So we sort of, the DRA that's issued is based on
Right.
a presumption that they're going to
And
follow the
again,
code going forward.
we got a little sideways here in going over the accident. And again, for me personally, I knew that gentleman. We're from Kerman. It's a small community. We know one another. He was a great individual. And I believe the whole point of that was to show that it operated out of time. But again, it's unfortunate. We have to rehash all of that, which other than for the time of day that it occurred, had no bearing, and feel unfortunate that the family has to relive that. So I apologize for that, although that was not our doing. So again, based on all the information that's presented to this body and what we are by law required to do, I will, as the representative of that district, make the motion to deny the appeal, because the appeal is strictly on the mitigated negative deck portion of that, which clearly staff and our council have both rendered their opinion that they have met that approval. And it's unfortunate for Mrs. Vavenzi, but that is not what this body is here to do today. That was at the Planning Commission, and that was a unanimous vote. Whatever happened there, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it occurred. So again, Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to deny the appeal and accept staff's recommendation for item B on that, whatever.
And that would be to uphold the Planning Commission's adoption of the
Yeah,
mitigated
uphold
negative
the
declaration.
Negative deck, and prepared the initial study, number 8319, subject to the recommended mitigation measures, because again, as presented to this body, both staff and county council, in their opinion, feel that that has been upheld.
And to include a indemnification.
Indemnification, yeah, as well as to include it. So that would be my motion, Mr. Chairman.
There's a second.
And I will second that motion, and I think you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, both me and you are ag people that, we're not city people, we're farmers, and we still active farmers. But I want to thank the chairman for stating what you stated about what the subject was, because that's very important that, we follow what the board item says. So I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries unanimously. Thank you for being here today.
We now move to item number 7, under Public Works and Planning. Consider a petition from parcel cancellation of agricultural land conservation contract number
Since this item-
58345, filed by Dirk Puschel Land Development Services Incorporated.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Chris Mata with the Department of Public Works and Planning. This item comes to your board with a recommendation for denial from the county's Agricultural Land Conservation Committee. The committee considered this request to remove approximately 2-acre area from the Williamson Act program through cancellation. The cancellation application is being processed in conjunction with a variance to waive the minimum parcel size to permit the applicant to create the 2-acre parcel. In November of 2022, the committee voted unanimously to recommend your board deny the cancellation request based on the inability to make findings number 2 and 3. Should your board make all 5 of the required cancellation findings and approve the cancellation, staff will proceed with presenting the variance to the Planning Commission. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
This is in my district. I don't have any questions. I'll hold my questions till the end, but do any other board members have questions? All right, seeing none, I'm going to open it up to the public. And you heard that with the findings that need to be made, staff was not able to make findings 2 and 3, and I'm a stickler when it comes to findings, so I'm going to need to have someone make those findings if this is something that's going to proceed.
Understood, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate that. I'm Dirk Puschel, and my business address is 923 Van Ness here in Fresno. I'm here this morning on behalf of Marvin and Janice Gertz. Mr. Gertz is in the back and will speak momentarily, and their son, Kerry Gertz. We believe that the findings can be made to create a home site for the Gertz son. Marvin and Janice Gertz have owned and farmed the dominant 32.22 acre parcel since 1971. Marvin Gertz has farmed in the area since 1967. There are no homes on the subject 32 acre site. The Gertz family desires to create a 2-acre home site so that their son Kerry can be near his parents to more efficiently assist in the farm management of the Gertz family farm and enhance site security. The 32.22 acre property is farmed as one unit, although it has 2 zone districts, which I'll describe in a moment. Again, no homes exist on the 32 acres. The proposed home site was specifically selected to reduce the removal of trees to the best extent possible. About 1 acre of the proposed 2-acre home site is either in an existing road or an unplanted area due to the substantial side slopes. The proposed home site is also in a corner of the property with existing access onto Rainbow Road. The existing access point has excellent site visibility in both directions. For parcels in this area, your zoning ordinance generally requires a 20-acre minimum lot size after home site creation, and for those parcels specifically in the Williamson Act. In 1973, 2 years after Mr. Gertz owned the property, the county zoned the property RA. So during that 2-year period, Mr. Gertz could have created the proposed home site. Until November of 1982, 11 years into ownership, Mr. Gertz could have also created the home site because the property had the same zoning. It was not until the property was rezoned and split zoning where the southern portion, or the property that's down in the riverine bottom, was zoned to RC40. As Mr. Chairman has noted, staff can make findings 1, 4, and 5, so I'm going to focus on findings 2 and 3. Finding number 2 requires that the cancellation is unlikely to result in the cancellation of adjacent lands. A cemetery exists generally north on Rainbow Road. The proposed cancellation is for a home site for a family member directly involved in the family farming activities on a parcel where no home site exists. The cancellation is for 2 acres of a 32-acre parcel jointly farmed for 53 years. The Gertz home site request is based on unique circumstances and highly unlikely to be used as a basis to remove other parcels from the Act. For those reasons, we believe finding number 2 can be made. With respect to finding number 3, that the cancellation is for an alternative use consistent with the provisions of the general plan. Recall there are no home sites on the 32 acres, and that the proposed home site will support the Gertz farming operation, not harm it. There will be no conflict with agricultural operations. The Gertz family carefully located the proposed home site to reduce impacts to agriculture to the extent possible. Land use section LUA 6 requires a 20-acre minimum for ag parcels, which would be entirely possible but for the fact that the property has 2 zone districts. Recall that the 8.49 acres zoned AL20 and the 23.71 acres zoned RC40 still totals 32 acres and is 1 farming unit. The proposal is consistent with other county policies that it will not create a less viable farming unit, as we're taking about 1 acre of trees to create the home site. The proposed home site will not create an incompatible use to the existing farming operations. The Gertz 53-year commitment to agriculture on this property will not change if Mr. Gertz's son Kerry builds his home on the Gertz family farm. Consistent with county policies and goals to protect agriculture, the home site will provide a more efficient farming operation, enhance security of the Gertz family farm, and provide to Kerry's mom and dad. Regardless of the zoning, Marvin and Janice Gertz family farm has operated as 1 unit for 53 years. It will remain a viable farming unit. He is very proud of the 7 neighbors who have written letters of support. Kerry also attached another letter this morning in the package that the clerk has distributed to you. And this morning we got 2 other letters of support for a total of 10 neighbors of immediate people surrounding the property in support of the request. I'll hand these to the clerk. For these reasons, we ask that your board make findings 2 and 3 and make all required findings to allow the creation of the proposed home site. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them of me.
Any questions for the representative of the applicant? All right, thank you, Dirk.
Thank you.
Any other comments from members of the public? And I'll state for the record, I had an opportunity to meet with the applicant. It might have been over a year ago, but I did meet with him. Floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm Marvin Gertz. My son Kerry is in the back. My wife and I moved to Fresno County in 1958 when I was employed by the University of California Agricultural Extension Service as tree fruit farm advisor in Fresno County. During that time, we purchased acreage along Rainbow Avenue east of Sanger in 1963, and we built our current house there in 1968. We raised our family, participated in Sanger school system, 4-H, FFA, and so on, and our kids went on to Fresno State and UC Davis. I resigned from the Extension Service in 1969 and farmed tree fruit in Fresno, Tulare, and Kern counties. And now, as I age, I've reduced back to our home place. Our roots are at that place. Our family roots are there. We would like to have Kerry living close to us, both to manage the farm and to provide security and personal care for us, my wife and I, as we age. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment from the public, I'm going to close the public portion, bring it back to our board. This is in my district. I thought that Dirk did a very good job making the findings for 2 and 3, and so with that, I can be supportive of this, but I wanted to hear from any other board members because we are a body of 5. All right, then with that, I will make a motion, and I think I can make one motion and include the 3 items. So I'm going to make a motion to adopt the negative declaration prepared for the initial study, 7677, and authorize the chairman to execute resolution authorizing partial cancellation of the agricultural land conservation contract number 5834, and authorize the chairman to execute the certificate of tentative cancellation and approve recording the certificate of cancellation when all contingencies and conditions included in the certificate of tentative cancellation have been satisfied. That is my motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And that carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to recuse myself from item number 8.
Problem. All right, we're going to be taking up item 8 here in just a moment, so.
My apologies, I was just getting clarification on something. Item number 8, under Public Works and Planning, consider petition for partial cancellation of agricultural land conservation contract number 4826, filed by Dirk Purcell Land Development Services.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Tawana Bachunga, Principal Planner with the Department of Public Works and Planning. This item comes before your board with the recommendation for approval from the Agricultural Land Conservation Committee at its June 12, 2024 meeting. The ALCC's recommendation was based on its ability to make the required 5 findings. The parcel cancellation is to remove a 37.29-acre parcel from the Williamson Act contract to allow a residential subdivision pending annexation of the subject parcel to the city of Clovis. The environmental impact report prepared for the annexation and the accompanying tract map was certified by the City of Clovis's City Council on May 13, 2024. This concludes my brief presentation, unless you have any questions for staff at this time.
Applicant on this again, City of Clovis. And a question that I have, or a statement generally, I think we may have one other recusal on this item. All right, so Supervisor Quintero is going to also recuse himself on this particular item. So again, the applicant on this item, it's coming before us from the city of Clovis.
It's Great Big Land is the applicant because they're the ones requesting the cancellation of the contract in order for them to be able to annex into the city of Clovis to then move forward with the subdivision.
All right, fair enough. And so any additional clarifications on that at this time? All right, any questions of staff before I open it up to the public? Seeing none, anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item?
Mr. Chairman, again, Dirk Puschel, 923 Van Ness here in Fresno on behalf of Wilson Homes Big Land. I have nothing to add. If you have any questions of me, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.
This is just basically the start of a process. This is the first thing you got to do.
That's correct. That's correct. Seeing no further comment from the public, I'm going to close the public portion. This is an item which is in my district as well. I know that the applicant in this case, working in conjunction with the city of Clovis, have been very active with the residents in Clovis. And so with that, I can be supportive of staff's recommendation on this particular item. So I will make a motion to that effect. Is there anything in particular that I need to separate out with this particular motion, or can I just make a motion for staff's recommendation?
As long as you cover all the items.
All the items that are in staff's recommendation are part of my motion. All right, that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3 with 2 recusals.
We now move to item number 9, Board of Supervisor Committee reports and comments.
All right, we're going to take just like a 15-second pause while the other members come back in here. All right, so committee reports and comments. We're going to start with Supervisor Brandow.
I just have a few things to comment on. I've taken a couple of neighborhood watch meetings. Actually, these are some meetings where we've introduced neighborhood watch to a group of citizens who are more concerned than ever about breaking in entries. And one of them was with the sheriff. Sheriff Zanoni and I attended one, and the other one was a barbecue where we introduced them to neighborhood watch. And I think they're going to begin officially a neighborhood watch program. Then last couple weeks ago, I went to the EOC's Valley Apprenticeship Program. It was run by my former colleague Oliver Baines from my days at City Hall, and where he trains people through this program for the construction industry. And he got jammed up and did not have a graduation speaker, so he asked me to speak at that, and I was glad to do it. So, all right, thank you.
Wow, a speaker. That's great. I'll keep you in mind when I need a speaker.
There you go.
All right, Supervisor Mendez, do you have anything? Supervisor Quintero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to take this opportunity to, and I'm sure my colleagues feel the same, to thank all of our county staff, and if you'll convey to the departments that have really worked above and beyond during this time when we have all the fires going on up in the foothills. Our folks from the other departments that go out there to help and assist, and just getting through the hot weather. It's even in the town areas that we have, folks are really struggling to beat the heat, and I believe it's very helpful also the libraries for being open during this time. Thank you.
Supervisor Pacheco. And I just have a couple of comments to build on what Supervisor Quintero had to say. So I think since our last major meeting, we've had multiple significant fires, but 2 of note are the Basin Fire and the Fresno June Lightning Complex Fire. Of course, the June Lightning Complex threatened two communities, Wonder Valley as well as the Squaw Valley community in my district. And I need to give a special shout out. There were a number of volunteer groups, one in particular, the Sheriff Posse, who went out to move animals quickly, and they worked through the night. And they sent me some pictures of what they did, animals that they were able to move, and just a lot of families who greatly appreciated who were unable to move the amount of animals that needed to be moved. But they jumped into action working alongside the Sheriff's Department to assist those in eastern Fresno County that were being affected by the Fresno June Lightning Complex fire, and I really appreciate their efforts. They are unsung heroes. I made a little video about them and put it up on my Facebook page, but appreciate their work. It is noticed by the county and greatly appreciated. And then, of course, with the Basin Fire. The Basin Fire about 2 weeks ago concerned a lot of people because of the potential of that fire to run through the grasslands and make its way up through one of our drainages and into Blue Canyon. One saving grace that we had with a lot of these grass fires is the fact that some of the larger fuels out there still contained quite a bit of moisture because we're early in the fire season. If we would have had that lightning storm come through in August or September, it could have been a different story on some of these fires. But again, a lot of those fuels were resistant, and the U.S. Forest Service, CAL FIRE working together on that Basin Fire, and of course CAL FIRE working very diligently on the Fresno June Lightning Complex to get almost 100% containment on both of those fires. So really appreciate all their efforts. And then last week, 4th of July, had a lot of activities throughout Fresno County. Fireworks shows in Clovis, up at Shaver Lake, fireworks shows on the 6th, and over the weekend there was a concert series put on to help benefit Pine Ridge School. So really appreciate all the volunteer groups that are out there doing things to make Fresno County that much more special and that much more memorable with the events that they put on. So just wanted to state that for the record.
We now move to item number 10, board appointments.
Any board appointments?
I have none.
Yes,
I
Supervisor
have one,
Pacheco.
Mr. Chairman. I would like to appoint Salvador Parra Jr. to the Housing and Community Development Citizens Advisory Committee representing the Tranquility area for a term ending January 6, 2025.
Anyone in the public wishing to comment on that sole appointment? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously.
We now move to item number 11, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on this agenda.
Anyone in the public wishing to comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion.
We now move to public comment for closed session.
Anyone in the public wishing to comment on closed session items only? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. And council, will we need to come back after closed session to report out?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do expect to have an announcement out of closed session, so you'll need to return following closed session.
Fair enough. Then we will now move into closed session, and we will report out as soon as we are done. Thank you all for being here.
So we got a meeting
Okay.
with code enforcement.
All right,
or
we
something?
have reconvened from closed session, and we actually have two items, but first, we're going to report out of closed session. That's the
Okay.
first thing.
Oh, that's right. Yes, out of closed session, Mr. Chairman, the board, under agenda item 12 for initiation of litigation, by a vote of 5-0, authorized the county to initiate litigation for nuisance and violation of unfair competition laws against Samuel Corbin Gomez, the property owner of 4931 South Buttonwillow Avenue, Reedley, California, for various commercial event center violations in an AE 20 zone.
All right, thank you for reporting out. And the second item, which I would like to do is, I missed someone who I need to appoint to the Squaw Valley Cemetery District, but what we need to do is we need to make a motion, which I will make, to reopen item 9, which is Board of Supervisors Committee. Actually, take that back. It's item 10, which is board appointments. So if someone can, I'll make that motion to reopen item 10 under board appointments, if there's a second to that.
I will second it. You're the youngest guy here, so you shouldn't have forgotten.
I know, it's, again, all those concussions catching up with me. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor to reopen item 10, signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. And to the Squaw Valley Cemetery District, I'd like to appoint Carolyn Mariscotti to the vacant District 5 seat. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on this appointment? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, and I'll make a motion for approval of this appointment.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes. Now, we are to the end of the meeting. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment of this meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Have a wonderful July.